A thread by Carlos Osuita. The Seattle Autonomous Zone is very funny. It's the Occupy bowel movement again, but stupider. You may not remember that Occupy was seen as a great leap forward in radicalism. It collapsed in disease and feces. There is no unity. Within days, all the folks who did this will be fighting each other. None of them know history, such as the Paris Commune. The Paris Commune was comprised of socialist revolutionaries. They took over Paris and became the official government for 3 months, March 18th, 1871 to May 28th, 1871. The takeover was accomplished by battle-hardened troops of the National Guard fresh off the Franco-Prussian War. The Seattle Autonomous Zone is the handiwork of affluent dorks who've never run anything or operated under any form of organizational structure. There is a parallel. Paris had been conquered by the Prussians. The French government signed an armistice that disarmed the regular French army, but not the National Guard. Sort of like ordering cops to flee, leaving the city at the mercy of radicals. The Central Committee of the National Guard had declared elections racist. I mean illegitimate, and seized City Hall, announcing that the Central Committee was the sole authority in the city. Georges Clemenceau was the mayor of the 18th Ward of Paris. He would later become French Prime Minister twice. Here's what he said about this period. We are caught between two bands of crazy people, one in Paris and one in Versailles. The legitimate government was in Versailles. It insisted on appeasing the commune. The elections were had after all, and only 62 of the required 92 actually got voted in. They were from every single revolutionary stripe, including independent revolutionaries who answered only to themselves. The new government had no president, no mayor, and no commander-in-chief. Its deliberations were to be held in secret. The National Guard was declared the armed force. It had two commanders who reported to two different legislative bodies, but nobody worried. The Commune ordered the seizure of all church property, the abolition of interest on loans, and the right of workers to take over and run all businesses, among other things. The Commune had no source of income, so it survived on loans from banks. All of this was happening as France was negotiating a peace treaty with Prussia. The Prussians demanded reparations that would severely impact the economy of France. The Commune banned all Paris newspapers, allowing only pro-commune publications. Mass arrests of priests and nuns took place. At the urging of anarchists, Archbishop Darboy and several priests were shot by firing squad. The Commune began removing statues and vandalizing government buildings. The Commune decided that it couldn't allow the continued existence of the legitimate government in Versailles, so it attacked with National Guardsmen and civilians armed with sticks and pitchforks. They felt that the army wouldn't fire on fellow Frenchmen. The regular army, of course, fired on the mob, driving them back. So the Commune launched a larger offensive, but nobody knew military strategy or tactics. Ground troops attacked with no cavalry, artillery, supplies of food and ammunition, or ambulances. They were up against professional soldiers. The army bombarded them with artillery, forcing them to retreat. Survivors were summarily shot. So the Commune passed the decree of hostages. Hostages would be taken and executed if the army continued its summary executions, which the Commune had started, but never mind. Thus, the citizens of Paris are placed between two terrible laws, the law of suspects brought back by the Commune and the law of rapid executions, which will certainly be approved by the Assembly. They are not fighting with cannon shots, they are slaughtering each other with decrees, said Émile Zola. By the way, the French general in charge of the army was named Patrice de MacMahon. His Irish family immigrated to France in 1702. As the French army surrounded Paris, the Commune argued over whether it should spend money on defense or social justice and reforms. The Commune decided to compromise and create the Committee of Public Safety, a secret police force with unlimited powers of arrest. The Commune had ordered compulsory service in the National Guard, but only 10% of the conscripted ever showed up. As the French army approached, desertion became endemic. The Guard was never trained to use its cannons. During this time period, siege warfare was the norm. The French army began a heavy artillery bombardment of Paris, making no distinction between military targets and civilian centers. General MacMahon felt he needed 120,000 troops to take Paris, but he was able to raise only 60,000. Since the National Guard deserted its posts, the army broke into the city without a problem. The Commune had made every neighborhood responsible for its own defense. As a result, a unified defense was impossible, so the army mopped up at warp speed. The National Guard built giant barricades in the narrow streets, so the army simply went into houses and tunneled through the walls to outflank the barricades and attack the National Guard, the defenders, from behind. The Commune defense collapsed as everyone accused everyone else of treason, not being woke enough. The Commune mustered about 15,000 people, including unarmed women and children, to fight MacMahon's 60,000 professional soldiers. As each Commune position was taken, the survivors were shot. In one case, 300 men and women were executed. As the battle for the city was clearly lost, the National Guard began an arson campaign. The order was given to burn all government buildings, including Tuileries Palace and the Richelieu Library of the Louvre. Museum curators saved the rest of the Louvre, putting out fires with the help of firefighters. The communards also burned private homes. That's what they called themselves, communards. The National Guard completely disintegrated. The troops dumped their uniforms, shaved off their beards, and fled. Churches and theaters were set on fire. The communards began executing their hostages. Being trained, the army was able to split up into small patrols that hunted and killed arsonists. The final hostages were shot and their bodies beaten with rifle butts and stabbed with bayonets. On May 28, 1871, the last National Guard and communards surrendered. Today, leftist historians say that the retaking of Paris shows the brutality of the bourgeoisie. Taking back what was stolen from you is wrong. All crime is justified. Well, we won't need a showdown like they had in Paris. All of this is a passing phase. Not a single business will stay in a city that gives in to communards. Today's orgy of firings and blacklisting and banning aren't changing the country. And it broke up the thread. In a very real sense, none of this is actually happening. It's happening in the news, on social media, in academia, and in blue crap holes. The rest of the country is ready to give Donald Trump a second term so we can continue onward and upward. I'm not even really following this. The Minneapolis cop killed George Floyd because they knew each other and had a history of conflict. See what I mean about none of this being real? Unreality passes. Reality is forever.